getting cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken house, a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
Summer's almost gone. Summer's almost gone. Almost gone. Yeah, it's almost gone. Where will we be when the summer's gone?
I don't want to make a mistake, jeopardize my future. You want to know something? Every now and then, say what the fuck. What the fuck gives you freedom? Freedom brings opportunity. Opportunity makes your future.
Your stats are very respectable. You've done some solid work here. But it's not quite Ivy League now, is it?
You know, Bill, there's one thing I've learned in all my years. Sometimes you gotta say, what the fuck?
I beg your pardon?
The average fan listens for, are you ready for this? An hour and 20 minutes. How can that be? Answer most commonly given, I want to see what he'll say next.
All right, okay, fine. But what about the people who hate?
Good point. The average hater listens for 2.5 hours a day.
But if they hate him, why do they listen?
Most common answer, I want to see what he'll say next.
My name's Jimmy. It's Aftermath FM. It's the after party after the after party. It's the underground. It's the alternative to the alternative. Tonight, very special night. The Haterazzi, live from Las Vegas, gonna be here with us. We also have Stevie P, Steve Pekoinen from Slow News Day. It's What the F Wednesday, and what the F is going on around here.
Yes, I'm living at a place that kills. Ooh, yeah. I'm running with the devil. Running with the devil.
We got a signal in this company. Hey, can I use your laptop? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, thanks.
What the fuck? Holy shit, dude, what's the matter? What happened? What's going on? There's so much porn! Well, what the hell are you doing looking at my private shit? What are you talking about, private shit, Johnny? It was wide open. There were literally thousands of files here. Well, I've been meaning to clear some of that out. Jesus Christ, look at the organization here. Clockwise rim job, counterclockwise rim job. Yeah, well, sometimes you like seeing the tongue go the other way. You sick bastard. Look at this. Chicks with dicks. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I have a disease, all right? I need help. There are no chicks with dicks, Johnny. Only guys with tits. Well, this is such a relief. You know, I'm glad I'm finally caught. I wanted to be caught. Johnny, now you listen to me. This is a wake-up call, all right? You got to get back out there and meet somebody because you are spiraling out of control here. All right, fine. I will. Just stop looking at that shit, please. Johnny, I mean it. All right, the next chick you meet, you will get back in the east.
Mr. Gates, the Haterazzi. Are you there?
I am here.
Excelente, live from Las Vegas. How you doing, man?
It's doing good, man.
It's good, good.
Good.
What, did I mispronounce Steve's name again? Well, I'm just gonna stop even saying his name at all. I mean, I've gotten believe me, man, I've taken so much heat from having that dude on this show that, I mean, literally, dude, Steve Pakoinen from Slow News Day. Did I say it wrong
Thanks,
again?
Gary, I appreciate it.
Did I say it wrong again? Steve-O, are you there? Oh, see, I called you Steve-O. I said I'd never do that again, and I did it. All right, you can call me Jim Bob one more time. Just, you know, to get back at me. I know, you know how it goes.
I always appreciate being here, Dave, and I look forward to every Wednesday on the show.
No problem, man. You know, we really appreciate you having you here, but just let you know, man, Dave's not here.
Slow? No. Trying to go? Yeah. Your team weak? No. You respected in the scrutiny? Yeah. Shallow? No. Didn't need? Yeah. Broke? No. Chimney? Yeah. Not a baby.
Listen to me, Republicans, listen! You are the people in history. They warned us about. They warned us about people like you. Pay attention. We're losing our democracy. Wake up! I'm terrified. Listen to me, Republicans, listen!
I'm terrified. I tell you what, you do not want to forget to take out the trash at that lady's house. Steve Pakoinen, are you there? All right.
I am, in fact, here, Johnny.
Okay.
And
Listen.
and loving life, getting ready to move.
Well, listen, why don't you teach me and everybody else on the face of the earth how to say your name one more time? You know, just only because everybody that I talk to about you, they go, how do you say that guy's name? I mean, I know it's not the first time. You probably got, like, this has happened to you so many times, you probably got like 1,000,000 one-liners already prepared.
Yeah. Growing up with this name, there are always jokes. Poikinen. The
Poikinen.
emphasis is on the first syllable. It's okay. So poi, like the thing people spin around, or the Hawaiian fish dish.
That's what I was
poi.
thinking, Hawaiian fish dish.
Ko, like David Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And Nin, shitty 90s industrial band.
Head like a hole. Sell me your soul.
Right.
All right.
Right. Didn't have a good song until Johnny Cash sung it.
Hey, Mr. Gates. So now, is this the first time you and Steve have been on the air together on Into the Microcosm? Is this excellent? Well, listen,
Yes.
and bringing you guys two together here on the show is something that I've been looking forward to. So let's hear what Steve's been up to, because between the time that you see Steve on Wednesday night and the next week that comes around, he's done like 50,000 shows about stuff. And so, Steve, what is the biggest jewel on your plate this week? What has gone through the mill over at Slow News Day and come out, shining like a rose?
You know, it's so funny that you say that, because for like the first time in 2 years, we actually have a week off. I am packing up. I am moving out of the Santa Cruz Mountains. I'm going up to Humboldt County. I have the opportunity to pick up some acreage, build a house, build a recording studio.
Nice.
So I'm going to do that. Slow News Day did just get our very first sponsor.
No.
Matrix Bars. Proud to announce that.
All
Matrix
right, man.
Bars is a mushroom chocolate bar company.
Now,
And,
do
I
they use cacao in their bar?
You know what? I am getting my test drive kit. It is in the mail. It is going to be arriving at my new place, and when I pull up on Friday for Get Your Shit Together, the interweb's best call-in show, it should be there. So I'm going to do a live stream product test, probably Saturday, afternoon.
I like
And,
the cut of your jib, man. That's really good. I hopefully
Well,
you found.
I can't really accept them as a sponsor if I don't believe
There you
in
go.
the product.
There you go. I mean,
So,
I'm the same way.
tentatively,
I'm the same
know.
way. I am the same way. You know, if I believe in something, then I'll stand by it. You know, if I don't.
But I am happy to announce that this Sunday we will be joined by the one and only Jay Dyer.
Mhm.
He will be on the program.
Interesting.
In that knowledge, it will be good stuff.
That should be good. Now, is Jamie going to come with him? Because I was talking to Jamie a couple weeks ago about coming on the show, and I saw that Jay had been doing a few things over the past couple weeks. He was doing some shows, and so is Jamie going to come with him, or is he going to go by himself?
I don't think so. I think this is just going to be Jay.
Nice.
But we got that coming up. We got Jared Beck, the attorney who took the Democratic National Committee to court over the fraud lawsuit in 2017. He's coming back on the show very soon. That's going to be incredible. It always is when Mr. Beck joins us. Yeah, we got a lot of good things going up. I'm going to be in Colorado. I leave next Thursday. I'll be there for a bit. Got some Julian Assange events coming up that I'll be speaking at and hosting, and gonna be hanging out with Charlie Robinson, our buddy from Macroaggression.
I know.
Live and in the flesh, we're gonna get together and do a show.
I tried to coax him over here for tonight, but he didn't get back to me, so I don't know if he saw my email or not. But man, you're like one of those dudes on Facebook who's like, he's posting all these pictures and shit, and I'm one of those guys that's sitting over there going, look at this dude, man. Look at him.
I'm not, 'cause I don't
he's like
have
living
Facebook.
those lives. Mr. Gates, he's living a life, huh? He's not like you and me. We're over here. We're over here grinding it out, man. Steve's going here. He's going there. He's got property. He's leaving the Santa Cruz Mountains. He's going up to visit Charlie. He's taking care of Assange. I mean, Steve, when do you take a moment off, man? Jesus.
It really,
H.
you know
Christ.
what? This Sunday was the first Sunday that I haven't had Slow News Day, where I haven't like been on an airplane or any of that shit in quite literally almost 3 years. October, like first weekend of October, is the 3rd anniversary of the show. And I did absolutely nothing. I sat there and I listened to Michael Malice and Yaron Brook debate anarchy and objectivism on Lex Friedman's show. It was like a 4-hour show, and I did fuck all. I just sat there and listened to an incredibly intelligent conversation and discussion. It was awesome.
That sounds great, man.
Right?
Yeah, when you can just sit there, it kind of reminds me of Pulp Fiction. That scene where they're sitting there getting ready to dance, and she goes, you ever like that, have that uncomfortable silence? You just shut the fuck up for a minute. It was one of those moments, Steve. Well, here's a moment. I want you guys to take a listen to this. Let's talk a little bit about this, because I think this is an interesting moment in history. Because we have the Center for Disease Control telling people, now I want people to keep in mind that this is mom and pops real estates that are getting screwed with. Okay, the banks still want their money, and the people that are going to be eliminated out of the game are the mom and pops that got some positive cash flow going somewhere. They got an extra house they're renting out. These are real people that are not getting paid, and it's not like, well, here, let's take a listen to this, and then let's talk a little bit about this, because I don't remember voting for anybody in the CDC, and I'm not real sure. I mean, people are making these declarations that the Supreme Court has ruled or is unconstitutional, but I guess we're just not in a constitutional zone, are we?
Follow breaking news this morning. 2 women are dead and a man is in the hospital after a shooting, allegedly over a rent dispute.
Yeah, Fox 5's Nkirika Azuka joins us live near downtown, where that scene is still very active at this hour. Good morning, Nkirika.
Hey, good morning, guys. So, yeah, Metro tells us that this landlord killed 2 women that were living inside his home and shot another man 9 times. That man is currently in critical condition in the hospital. Metro says the call came just after midnight last night after multiple shots were fired. They found a woman in the front yard with gunshot wounds. They brought her down the street to get treated. Medical crews did try to save her, but they were not able to, and she was pronounced dead. While officers were securing the scene, another man came outside of the house with 9 gunshot wounds. He was rushed to UMC, where he is now in critical condition. After SWAT negotiators went in, another woman was found dead inside the home. The suspect is a man in his 70s. He did not cooperate at first, but after negotiations with SWAT, he was taken into custody. Now, officers do believe that the landlord did live inside the home along with the victims. No word yet on the relationship between all of them, and they say that there is no evidence that this was self-defense. Of course, we'll be following the story for you and updating you with details as we get it, but for now...
Well, that was in Las Vegas, and that was a couple days ago. And I saw the story, and and at first, because the reason that I went to it was because of what we've been going through with people, not getting their rent. So immediately, I thought that this might be one of those cases. Now, I don't know if people living in the same house with you I'm not paying your rent. I don't think that's a good idea, man. Especially, in these type of situations. But what do you think about this, Mr. Gates? Now, is this like an intense area where people might be sharing a house? And
yeah,
I
that's Naked City.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a good chunk of my youth there. It's the area. It's a rundown neighborhood right behind the Stratosphere, and that's where this took place. And if something like that's going to happen, it's going to happen in that neighborhood. There's no telling. There's a lot of drugs over there, a lot of undesirable behavior in that area. So there's no telling what happened there.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. It's what do you think? Do you think on some level there's people out there that maybe bought a second home or a condo or something, or they got some, and people are renting it from them, and they're off somewhere doing their thing, living their lives, and now all of a sudden they can't get.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll be talking about this on my show tomorrow. I got a theory.
Right on.
This is a theory. I think that what's gonna happen. I'm looking at this whole Great Reset shit, right? And I'm noticing there's a few articles that's been coming out for the last few years about these corporations, right? That are buying bulk houses,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you see the signs all the time. We'll buy your house. We'll buy your house, right? And they get it for cheap, and they don't have any intentions on reselling. What they want to do is rent them, right? So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to choke these single family home owners out.
You're right.
Okay, and then they're going to end up selling to these corporations, and in the future, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
That's right.
Now, on top of that, check it out, because they're already doing this all around the country. They're even doing it up in Canada,
mm-hmm.
where they're buying up whole blocks, whole communities. They're tearing down and then building up either condos or just newer houses, right? But when you go there to rent, it's furnished already, right? So when you go in there, to look at it, they got like a basic couch, right? And you come in there and say, I don't really like this couch. They'll be like, okay, well, the rent is $1,000 a month, which is reasonable, right? But then they'll say, now, if you want to upgrade the couch to a sectional for an extra $30 a month, we can put a bigger one in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that TV's too small. You want the 71-inch? Oh, okay, for an extra $40 a month, we'll give you the 71-inch. Oh, you don't like the cot? Okay, we got a king-size bed for an extra $50. By the time you're done upgrading your house with furniture that you'll never own, you're going to be spending close to $2,000 a month, right? And you'll never have the option of owning anything in your home, right? And I really think that that's what's going on. They're trying to choke out these few landlords who would just say, you know what, I just want to sell it. Just take it off my hands because I'm not getting any money on it. The banks are still pressing me about the taxes and all that.
Oh, man.
And they're going to choke them out. And then here comes Warren Buffett. Here comes the Blackstone Group. and these other corporations to buy it up.
Well, and
before
what's
you know it-
particularly nefarious about that is that BlackRock owns, or not owns, but is one of the principal financial backers of the Fed.
Right.
So
Right.
it is Warren Buffett too. It is Berkshire Hathaway.
Mhm.
There are a couple of Chinese hedge funds that are snapping up, or at least when the real estate market collapsed back in 07, 08, and 09, it was the Chinese hedge funds that were coming in and buying up California properties like that.
Right.
I was reading an article a couple of months back, and it said that just one of the three major hedge funds in the U.S. has the capital on hand to buy up 150,000 single family units a year per hedge fund minimum, which is just shy of 500,000 single family homes every year on the low end, conservatively estimated. That is, and you're absolutely right. This is the Great Reset. This is the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This is everything you own, you will rent.
Mm-hmm.
Your stuff will be delivered by drone. Jimmy, what do you got?
Well, I was going to say, now, we talked a little bit about this a while back because I noticed that there was a home builder who built a tract of homes in Texas. And typically they will build these homes and they will sell them to individuals. But what they did was they built these specifically in mind to rent them. And so what it was and the way that it worked was that because they were going to rent it, they didn't have to spend as much, different color carpet and all this. They just built it out. And then they rented them all out. And then they let it run for a bit. They made X amount of dollars, and they put the whole thing on the market as a chunk. So what happened was that there was a bidding war for it because, it's a positive cash flow situation. It's money coming in. It's da-da-da-da. So there was a bidding war, and they ended up making 50% profit margin as opposed to like 13% when they sell it individually. So it was at that time that I started to look into some of this stuff, and what we found out also was that there in this infrastructure bill that's coming down the pike right now, there's a big chunk of it that specifically and explicitly will pay out monies to states, counties, and cities to get rid of single-family housing, and they'll pay you money to put in multi-family dwellings. So, for example, you might have some house you bought in a cool little neighborhood or whatever. You got your little place sitting there, and all of a sudden you just wake up one day. You look outside, and there's all these bulldozers pulling in, and they just start tearing down the houses, and some dude just builds a condo complex, across the street from your house.
Right.
I think Billy Ray Valentine is out there, man. I think he wants to join us. I can't tell, though. He's see if he's out there because he was sending a message over. I think he's going to join us, maybe. I don't know. This is Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. We got Mr. Gates, the Haterazzi. He's going to be live tomorrow from Las Vegas. Immediately preceding Billy Ray Valentine, who's immediately preceding Clyde Lewis, who's immediately preceding Into the Microcosm. So tomorrow night should be like and right before Mr. Gates is Leo Zagami. So man, the only one who's not there is David Knight and Steve over there.
Right.
Mr. Stevie P, as we like to call him around here. So yeah,
you want to keep talking about this moratorium thing because it's pretty nuts, and I have a colleague over at the MCSC network, Franco, who lives in Silver Spring.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 minutes away, something like that, and then another 25 minutes trying to park. And he was out there the first 3 nights of this thing, got into a little spat with a correspondent from one of the shows on RT who was there to cheerlead this performative sit-in that the squad and the junior varsity squad were doing at the Capitol steps. He was shushed and dismissed by AOC. It's all on tape too, or all on film. It was live streaming. It was hilarious. AOC ran away from him the first night, wouldn't answer his questions. Cori Bush went and hid in her car the second night, the entire time that he was out there filming, wouldn't answer questions. The whole thing was entirely performative because, as you mentioned, the CDC turns out is responsible for whether or not the eviction moratorium is extended. Now, why the CDC is responsible for that and why the next step from the CDC is the Supreme Court, not Congress, a little bit weird. A little bit.
It's out of control. Literally. I mean, the thing is stuff's getting done like right in front of people's faces right now. You know what I mean? Right. It's like right in front of your face. It's like, hey man, before anybody starts making any decisions like that, isn't there like a run through? Like, isn't there supposed to be some sort of we put that out on the table for discussion and there's a bunch of people who vote on it and then it goes to a certain place and then they vote on it and then somebody signs it and then it becomes a law. And then when it's a law, the Supreme Court has it, and then they use it to judge other cases that come up. And it looks like the Supreme Court has judged this case and decided that it was unconstitutional. And so now, working outside the Constitution, well, let's just put things in perspective, fellas. Number one, the District of Criminals, that 13 square miles where the federal government resides, that is the only place in the world that the laws of the federal government apply. The rest of this United States of America are individual states who decide to agree to some of the laws that are put out by the federal government. But the federal government, in and of itself, is in no business to tell anybody what to do anywhere, period, the end. But somehow, not only have they been able to tell us what to do, now they're going to tell us what to do with our bodies, too. Now they're going to tell your grandpa that he can't retire anymore because that positive cash flow from that little place that he bought, he can't have the money anymore. Now the bank wants their money because he took out a second mortgage so he could go on vacation, and bank wants their money, and now he's going to lose his house just like Mr. Gates is saying. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night to get deeper into this. Or what time is it when you come on? It's Eastern time is what?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
There you go.
Haterazzi, live from Las Vegas.
There you go. So, so what else is on your radar over there, Mr. Gates? Now, are people coming back to Vegas? Because listen, I've always had this impression, and I think the rest of America has, about Vegas. Vegas has always pretty much been sort of a clean town. In other words, there's really no, you don't hear about shit going on there because they want people coming there. So in the beginning, there was this idea that it was run by the mob, so nobody messed around. Nobody tried to rob nothing. Nobody did anything because the mob was running it. And then there was the transition point when it went away from the old Vegas to the new Vegas to the, to the super new Vegas where you have,
CIA-gus.
Yeah, you've got like pyramids of glass, and you have roller coaster rides, and you can go down the canals of Venice. So what's going on there now? Now, number one, there's one of the main casino owners there was very out front during the heat of what was been going on with testing and cutting off convention workers and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on in Vegas. Give people an idea of what's going on over there, man.
You would think that nothing is going on. I think initially when this all started, people were really afraid. Last year, People were scared, and it was the first time we've ever seen it like where you could go on the strip and be the only one there. Right? If you wanted to film some kind of end of the world movie in Las Vegas, that was the time to do it. There was no one on the strip, right? And unprecedented. Then slowly, people started getting COVID. They started catching it, myself included. And, of course, we're scared at first because we're believing the hype, the Fauci hype, right? But then we survive it, right? And so many of our friends and family of all different ages and races catch it and survive it. And we're like, man, this is like just a strange cold, It's weird. It is different than your regular flu or your regular cold. But I don't think this is all it's cracked up to be as far as what they're telling us in the media. And this is not to say that nobody can die from it. I'm just saying that most people were recovering, right in front of you, right? And very few of us knew anyone who actually died as a result of it, right? So this time around, people aren't really believing the hype. Then of course, they released the vaccine, and the people really believe in that. So people are getting vaccinated, and some people aren't. But everyone's, for a minute felt secure, right? And so when it looks like Biden wasn't going to reach his goal of having that, enough people vaccinated, that's when they came up with the Delta thing, more than likely to explain why the vaccines were not stopping it, And but as of right now, you would think nothing's going on. We do have a mask mandate here, but the strip clubs are packed. The strip is packed. There's conventions going on. You would think, other than the mask thing, that nothing was going on here.
Ain't no all-you-can-eat prime rib and free drinks at the casino anymore, though.
No, well, that's stopping. No, they started stopping that shit. Yeah, they started charging for parking.
Oh, man.
Like, that's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And I was talking about Wynn Industries. I couldn't think of it because it was a while back. And were you now? Of course, you were there for for what happened in the Vegas shooting. Were you there? Now, were you out and about when that happened, or were you just kicking it at the house?
No, I was actually at home.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
When it first came over the wire, it was just like, oh, there was a shooting at a concert. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking it's a hip hop concert or something. Somebody got shot, some gangbangers or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then it started hitting the wire like, no, there was a mass shooting. We were like, what? And by the next day, everybody knew what happened. I had a few friends and some family who were actually there. They're country music fans, mm-hmm. and they were there, and they were like, yeah, that really happened. Mm-hmm. Like this guy was really shooting. But yeah, it kind of, it shut Vegas down pretty good mm-hmm. for a minute.
Yeah, I was on the air when a lot of that happened. Matter of fact, I was on the air the next day with Kriston T. Harris on his show. As a matter of fact, with some dude from New York, and we were like, we were talking about it. And the thing I brought up there was that, there's a company called NICE Systems, NICE, N.I.C.E. It's an Israeli company, and they make a emergency management system. And I know I have actual intimate knowledge of the system because I was going to put it in for a city up here in San Francisco, across the bay. And so I got into it. And so basically what it does during an event, for example, it does many things, but this is one of the things it does. So say like during an event, like something like that, when it happens, what happens with this system is it records every keystroke of every keyboard. It records every camera, every minute of every camera everywhere that it has access to. It records every single tire that rolls, every cop transmission that goes out, every helicopter, every ounce of gas, every route that was taken by every single police car, all these things. And then at the end of it all, what it does is it comes up with a plan because it's learning as this is going on. Okay, and so it comes up with a plan. So, like, next time that happens, it won't send you down that street because there was construction and the ambulance got held up and, Grandpa died. You know what I mean? So, but next time it would, it made a mistake, but it learns from its mistakes. And so the idea that there's some aspect of that crime that was not documented is literally a joke. I mean, people, and let me just say this, man, as far as technology goes, I mean, when you're a high-tech company and you got some sort of a security type software, you got some kind of mechanisms, or you have some new cameras or drones or whatever you have, where you want to go is Vegas. Vegas, that's right. Hey, hey, Mr. Wynn, let me put in my facial recognition software into your casino. I'll do it for free. I just need to glean some data from it. How's that sound? Oh, no problem. Come on down. And they get all the best and listen, the money there, of course you're going to want to have the highest tech security system on the face of the earth. So you hire nice systems from Israel. And, you know, you're going to find nice systems in all the smart cities across the world, all the connected, interconnected smart cities.
Right.
Well, the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution is entirely about the Internet of Things. They're projecting, at least in the United States, that by 2030, when they transition into 6G, that we will have bare bones 24.6 million devices connected to the IoT. It's the foundation of it. It's the backbone of it.
Hey, man, get ready to become a thing, because everybody's going to be a thing, and it's not too far off. And, you know, the time is now for everybody to really get a handle on some of the things that are going on, because realistically, you know, all of us being involved in what we're involved in right now and what's going on, we're all sitting here pedaling, treading water, trying to make it through. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't make plans for the future. We want to go on vacation, but we don't know what's going to happen. We're not sure we want to get the injection. We're not sure we want to do this or that. You know, the thing is everybody's just in this place where nobody can move forward. We're all waiting for, permission to go ahead and move forward. It sounds like maybe people are going on vacation. They're heading to Vegas. They're trying their luck. You know, maybe they're trying to win that $1 million so they can GTFO, man. Because you know what I mean? Because we're at that point right now where it's literally, you know what I want to ask you before I shift gears here. I want to ask you now. I've seen these numbers and some statistics that there's quite a few people in the black community that do not trust the injectable, that there's big numbers suggesting that the black community, and I know you're not speaking for the black community, but you are black, and you know you have some friends, so I'm just curious, what do you think, about this? Is this something that you've noticed around your friends, that most of your friends are saying, nah, man, I'm not doing it? Because most of my friends are.
Shit. Most of my friends, white or black, are not doing it. But yeah, you're going to see a lot more distrust coming from black people in America, just given the history. You know, we're not so quick. And to be honest, this is the first generation of young people in this country that automatically are willing to kowtow to the government narrative. That's never happened in this country's history that I know of. You know, and because had they tried to roll this out in the 1990s, shit, the kids were revolted.
No, yeah.
So a number of things had to happen in order for what you just described to take place, and the hyper politicizing of the vaccine. Sorry, Jimmy, it's the Michelle Pfeiffer. Was just like the last little bit, but in the 90s we started the cult, or the Church of Scientism, and it was critical mass and reduce, reuse, recycle, and think globally, act locally. Everywhere you saw that, everywhere. The just reinforcement of globalism, and then we had the immediate hyper politicizing of the science. Al Gore's clearly a piece of shit and a liar. But
Yeah,
I was one of the talking points.
Well, the science is good or bad based on the storyline they put around it to make you buy into it or not.
Well, and how popular the salesman is. Look at Bill Nye. Look at Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Hey,
Bill Gates was like that until the divorce.
Hey, well, look at who's here. Look who's here.
She's into superstitions, black cats and voodoo dolls. I feel a premonition, that girl's gonna make me fall.
It's the Latin lover. It's the head of the East Coast Truth Syndicate, Billy Ray Valentine. What's up, Billy?
Yo, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man.
What's up, Mr. Gates? What's up, Mr. Poikinen? What's going on, everybody?
Good, we're doing
How's
good.
it going, man?
We're doing good.
Chilling, man, chilling.
We're doing good. So, yeah. So thanks for joining us, and we're about to shift gears here because there's a lot of ideas around about what's coming up with this situation that we're in, and we're seeing that people are being. So, is somebody building a pyramid over there somewhere? It seems like we're being funneled down the chutes. Like we've all been split off. Like the herd has been split off. The demographics have been split up. The marketing has been done, and the majority of people are going in a certain direction. And it's getting to a point where people are literally getting pissed off. They're saying, "Hey, man, I had to do it. Why aren't you doing it? I mean, you're the reason that it's the way that it is now." I saw a thing earlier where they were literally, I don't have it here to play it here, but they were calling children murderers if they haven't been vaccinated. So I mean, we're going to a place where, what are you guys hearing and what are you thinking about this now? They're actually saying that, I mean, I've seen some, and I don't know if it's a rumor or if it isn't, but, obviously people have been talking about those plastic coffins, and they've been talking about the railroad cars and the blue dots on your mailbox and all this for years. People have been talking about FEMA camps. But, it looks like FEMA camps are coming into the view. I mean, it looks like there's talking about this now. That, hey, man, go ahead. What do you guys think about that?
They're most likely going to use Walmarts. I don't know if you guys remember in 2014 when the riots, the Black Lives Matter riots started going down, and somebody had taken video of these buses, these military buses that were bringing people in, and they were like doing drills at a Walmart. And they were like, "What are you guys doing?" Because they thought they were there for the riots, but it was just like they were practicing how they're going to. Because you think about it, Walmarts are everywhere. Especially in lower income neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And Walmarts are set up to house, large groups of people. They can just move everything really fast and put you in there. They got everything you need in there. You got food, you got weapons, you got everything you need in there, right? For any kind of, military or any kind of martial movement that needs to be made,
Mm-hmm.
So. And I don't know if you guys just saw this in the news. The Pentagon is now proposing a microchip that can detect COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would like to know how many civilians are willing to just sign up for that. Like, oh, that's a good thing.
Well,
you have got to be a fool.
Well,
let me just say this. I am not a religious person, but I got to say that when you compare everything that's going on to what they say about the mark of the beast, can't buy, sell, or trade unless he has the mark. I mean, either this is really happening, or they're trying to make it look like that's what it is.
Well, here's what I can tell you for sure. I mean, we talked about this last night, but there's a company called InBrain. It's called InBrain. Okay. You can search this out. Now they're doing something with it. It's like an Elon Musk neural link, but they're using graphene as part of what they're using there. So what I'm putting forward is when you look at Charles Lieber's technology that he's been working on, liquid computing, making making viruses, transistors the size of a virus. You look at all this and you see that they're really, I mean, the chip under your skin is like, it's so old, it's not even funny. They don't need a chip under your skin anymore. And I'd be willing to bet that, there's technology involved in this. This is software. This is not a vaccine like we normally would see, based in the old technology that we were using before. This is something that could be activated. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this because I've only been here on Aftermath for about 6 months, solid. And so we talked about this last year, and I don't think I've talked about it too much here. But you can go ahead and search up something called Draco, Draco. Draco. Type that in, Draco antiviral. Take a look at that. That costs $60,000 a pop. Okay, you get that, and nothing's going to happen to you based on anything that's ever gone around on this planet. So if they really wanted to, they could have really rolled out the Draco. But instead, they rolled out this other thing, this software that can be literally programmed to react to whatever comes down the pike. In other words, you've already got the operating system installed. Now, when you go get the second thing, it's like an addition. It's the software. It's the upgrade. So yeah, hey, this is what's going on right now. This is the new thing. Here's the upgrade. Come on down and get it. And let me just say this: positive identification will be required. Period. So they're building a system. Now, who's FEMA? Who is FEMA? Did you vote for the FEMA guy? No. Did you vote? Any of us vote for him? No, we didn't. But guess what? When they declare an emergency in all 50 states, which has never happened in the history of our country, that there's a mechanism involved in that when that happens, total and complete control is turned over to FEMA. Now, that happened during the Trump administration. Now, Biden has taken control. He's the current resident of the White House. But it's looked weird the whole time he's been there. Kind of, I don't know, not really solid or what. It's hard to explain.
That's because he's a hologram, man. 'Cause he ain't real. Because Donald Trump, the God Emperor, he's ruling the country from the Winter White House.
He's ruling it from the lizard's lair down deep below. He is one of the main salesmen of this vaccination technology that we see. He came out looking 30 years younger out of that hospital, and he said, "Hey, it's me. I'm your president. And I'm standing in front of the White House." And
got the adrenochrome and Botox on the balls.
Hey, let's take a listen to this.
Here are the facts. The Federal Emergency Management Agency was created in 1976 and charged with handling domestic emergencies. When most people think of FEMA, they think of hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, and floods. Since its inception, FEMA has consistently saved American lives. Like the Boy Scouts, FEMA aims to be prepared. They provide logistical support, food, clothing, and other services in emergency situations. The agency has also built housing facilities in locations across the world. To the mainstream media, this is just another step in preparing for catastrophes. But to others, it's something much worse. Here's where it gets crazy. According to broadcaster Alex Jones, FEMA is a front for a secret government, and the housing locations will actually serve as quarantine centers or internment camps. This is not an unfounded fear. After all, during World War II, the U.S. forced over 100,000 Japanese Americans into government camps for the duration of the conflict, and civil unrest could be considered a domestic emergency. How would this insurrection occur? Theorists cite any number of possible causes, from the establishment of a one-world government to a national pandemic. Some believe a global elite of bankers and aristocrats may artificially create a disaster to trigger a massive incarceration of U.S. citizens who object to the plan, whatever that plan might be. Fringe researcher Mary Louise alleges that FEMA keeps a red list and a blue list, where people on the blue list will be shipped to camps for quarantine or re-education, while those on the red list will be executed. Skeptics rightly point out that this conspiracy requires an amazing, even implausible, level of organization. Also, a large natural disaster can displace hundreds of thousands of people, so building temporary housing in advance seems like a good idea. Yet there's another angle here. The U.S. already holds the world's largest prison population, with over 2 million people incarcerated. Most of the people who believe that FEMA is a cover for mass imprisonment also believe in the Illuminati, Freemasons, or satanic conspiracies. Sometimes they believe in all three. The outlandish nature of some theories may make them hard to swallow, yet the facts are foreboding even to skeptics. The federal government has indeed constructed massive housing facilities across the United States, from Oakdale, California to Atlanta, Georgia. Executive orders have given FEMA and other agencies increasingly broad emergency powers, even allowing the U.S. Army and Marine Corps to perform domestic operations. Theorists like Dr. John Coleman allege the focus of FEMA has steadily moved away from natural disasters to concentrate on the management of a hypothetically unruly populace. In 2003, FEMA was incorporated into the Department of Homeland Security. To most Americans, this is just another game of bureaucratic musical chairs. However, it makes perfect sense to conspiracy theories.
Lost control, wasting precious time. I couldn't tell you why. Come the night, and the time is mine. As I lead the blind, took the night, but the sleeping are happy. But the days are overlapping.
It's Aftermath FM. Monday through Friday, right here at 10:30 Pacific, immediately following Clyde Lewis. We're here. Want to remind you, $79 gets you in the door for the year. One time, $79 instead of $10 a month. You're saving a lot of money. It's going on for a couple more weeks. Come on down, come support her. I think there's gonna be a revolution if they start trying to herd some of these, Christian gun owners into the vaccination centers, or if they start banging on doors. What really bothers me a lot about some of the language. Yeah, we need to get we need to stick some needles in some arms. My people are ready to put some needles in some arms. Man, are you guys ready to stick out your arm? What about it? Are you going to stick out? I mean, you don't have to say. It's none of nobody's business whether you're going to stick out your arm or not. But I'm just saying, there seems to be a lot of dudes standing around with some needles, waiting to stick them in some arms. And listen, isn't it my body my choice? I mean, when is my body my choice? That's only if you're a lady.
I saw a fantastic tweet today, and it said the Democrats went from my body, my choice to mandatory jabs and, oh God, what was it? Oh, that's right. asking for ID to vote is fascism to show me your goddamn papers. Really quick.
Yeah, that's fun. What do you guys think about this now? Do you think people should be isolated away from the now? And this is another thing. The lexicon of language is exactly the same as used in penitentiaries, man. You know, lockdown. You know, shelter in place. You know, all this. You know, I mean, these facilities are going to be isolation facilities that basically concentration camps. That's what they are. And I'm not relating anything to the other thing that happened. I'm just saying concentration camps. It means something. Concentration. It's a concentration of humanity. They take all of the same people that have the same issue or whatever it is. Like in this particular case, it happens to be the one where you don't want nobody's government, that laws only apply in the 13 square miles known as Washington, D.C., coming up in here telling you what to do. Now, I mean, you going to let them tell you what to do? At this point, I mean, everybody's a rebel without a cause. That seems like a big cause to me. And you know what, really, the thing about it is, you guys, I'll stop filibustering here, but I just really want to put this in here. Listen, Republican people, conservatives, typically don't protest stuff. I mean, they're usually, when there's a war, it's usually the Democratic side of the table that's out there protesting it. Usually the conservatives are all for it. I'm just saying, stereotypically, so don't get all bent out of shape. Point is that mechanism for protest is taken out of the equation with Biden being in office, because everybody that would be out there protesting doesn't seem to be out there. What do you guys think about that? And go ahead on this, man. This is an intense subject.
I think this goes beyond party lines. The people, because like you said earlier, the majority of people, at least in New York, will start there, since they're about to roll out. They're going to be the first ones to roll out this passport. The majority of the people there are people of color, and we all know that traditionally, when it comes to party lines, people of color are going to be on the blue side. This right here, if people stick together, I think this is going to destroy the Democratic Party. It's also going to damage the Republican Party. We're going to see the rise of the Libertarian Party. We're going to see Rand Paul has a chance, because you're going to get a real revolution. You're going to get some real people, like some people who never thought about being a revolutionary, right? Turn into Black Panthers real quick. Black, white, Latino, all of them. And they like I said, everybody's waiting to see how New York's going to react when they start putting this thing into practice. You wait till they start trying to roll this out in other cities, and you're going to see a revolution. You're going to see some serious enemies of the state, is what they're going to call them. But you're going to see some people who really have a problem with this on both sides. Party lines don't mean shit. We're talking about sovereignty and American freedoms.
Dude, I saw some video of some cops in New York City in Central Park chasing people around. Billy, what's going on in New York, man? Let me ask you a question. Also, have you seen a picture of the card? Is it red with a yellow code up in the left-hand corner?
No, I haven't seen a picture of the card.
Okay, because I saw something that was put out that was supposedly a picture of the card. It was totally red, and it had a yellow symbol up in the left-hand corner that you can scan with your phone. It looked just like the Chinese flag. It looked exactly like. I'm telling you, man. It looked exactly.
I thought that's a bunch of bullshit, man.
I know. That's why I haven't seen it, so I'm not in New York, but you are. Tell everybody what's going on in New York City, man. Are people getting chased, beaten down? What's going on? Mask on, mask off. What the hell's going on over there, man?
I mean, when they concentrate on one thing, somebody got chased and beat down. That happens here on a regular basis, right? So what's the difference? They're acting like, everybody's getting chased and beat down. It's just another day, man. You just walk down the street, ain't nothing happening.
Well, the difference is
implemented the cards yet, right?
No, not to that level. But how are they even gonna?
The difference is they're not criminals. They're people where people just doing stuff. So thing is like the crime, the stuff that you're talking about, the shit that happens every day. They don't really bother with that shit on the news too much, man. Just like you said, it happens every day, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah, well, this doesn't happen every day, and they're showing it because they want you to understand that you're not going to pay attention to what they're telling you. If you're not going to do what they say, that is what's going to happen to you. That is why that goes into heavy rotation. That is part of the social engineering that's going to drive people into doing something they may not want to do just because the government says you have to. And if you don't, I'm going to hit you with this big black stick, and I'm going to shoot you with this thing that electrocutes you, and then I'm going to spray this stuff in your face, and then I'm going to put tie wraps around your hands. I'm going to put a black bag over your head, and then I'm going to take you down to the black prison down there and put you in there because you're a fucking terrorist. Right? Because that's where
that only happens if you're flying on Frontier Airlines. That's the reason.
You're gonna get
any airline.
Go ahead.
That clip is just hysterical.
It is kind of funny, bro.
I love that.
Funny.
That's that's a comic, right?
I don't know, man. That look kind of real to me.
He's got a handful of those videos on his Instagram page. But like it's a real incident, but if he sort of looks like the dude, he'll do a bit on it. And between attend this ass whooping and mummify.
Yeah. That was funny, man.
Oh my god, my heart. That shit was
that
hilarious.
was funny. But this is
man. But there ain't nothing going on out here yet, And the thing is, most people here are gonna comply, and they've already done it. I get hit up every morning telling me, why haven't you taken the vaccine yet? Every morning. And I came to a conclusion that the lockdowns, I don't know if they'll ever happen again for everybody. I think there's only going to be lockdowns for the unvaccinated. And so if you look at it, we already have lockdowns here in New York, but strictly for the unvaccinated. What were you able to do? What were you not able to do when they locked down the world last summer? You couldn't go to restaurants, right?
Yeah,
you couldn't go to gyms. You couldn't go to the movie theaters. You couldn't get together and go to concerts, all that. So now people can do it, but they can only do it if they're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, you can't do it. So
let me ask you this.
What's up, buddy?
Let me ask you this. Can business owners use their own discretion, or is this a mandate that everyone has to follow, and businesses will be punished if they are not proper?
From what I understand, they're going to be checking up on businesses and making sure that they comply. But the thing is, right? They can't do this for everyone. They can't do this all the time. Like they have these public buses out here, right? Like they do everywhere, I guess, right? But they have, you buy a ticket on the honor system, you buy a ticket and you keep the receipt and you sit down. A lot of people don't buy the ticket, right? They just roll right into the bus and sit down. But sometimes, not all the time, but I don't know, once a month, there's going to be a cop that's going to hit you up, and they're going to watch you do it, and they're going to come in and say something. So I think that's more or less what's going to happen here. They're going to have a hard time enforcing this, but a lot of people are just going to comply. The thing is, the app can be hacked. And the papers can be gotten to fake this for a bit.
That's why.
Until what's up, buddy?
Well, I was going to say that's why I've been telling people that you better not lie, because everybody was passing around that thing, the patent for luciferase. They're passing around the patent, going, look at it, man, patent number 666, luciferase, blah 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 blah. But then hey man, did you look at it? Did you read it? Because, it says in there that there's a needle inside of the needle that's made of a material that gets injected in you when you get injected, which also coincides with the number that the lady writes down on the paper from the thing that she used to put it in you. And that is your number from now on. And the thing is, you say, oh, I got it, man. I got the thing. Oh, well, then they just go boop over your arm, dude, and figure out if you really do have it or not. And guess what they're saying in Canada? They're saying in Canada, if you're an American, you're welcome to come on into Canada if you're vaccinated. And if you're not, that's cool, but you'll have to go into quarantine. Okay? But here's the thing. If you present documents that are false, going into Canada that you've been vaccinated, if you present false documents, this will include being incarcerated. You're going to prison.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you right now, you can go to prison for, manslaughter for a lot of reasons, man, in America. And let me just say, when they start calling kids murderers because they're not vaccinated, you can best be sure that there's going to be some criminal penalty around anybody.
Right. Dude,
go ahead.
It's gonna be a federal offense, man.
Yeah, they have already said it. Yep.
It's gonna be a federal offense. Faking and forging these things.
Here's my thing.
What's up, bro?
I'm just gonna stay home. You know what I'm saying? I got websites where I can watch bootleg movies and shit.
Well,
I can work out at home.
Isn't this what we were talking about last night? Isn't this a brave new world? Isn't this people saying to themselves, freedom is slavery?
Dude, man, it's a wrap, brother.
Look,
we walked through that door a long time ago.
Right. Freedom is slavery, right? Freedom is slavery. Owning stuff is slavery.
Right.
Officially,
we walked through that door in 2020, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's not nonsense anymore. It's not something that we speculate about and we talk about and we say it's coming. No, it's here.
If you
want, you could make the case that from Kennedy's murder, there's a straight line to a particular three-letter agency's complete capture of all branches of government and media, and a good chunk of entertainment. And we've got the Patriot Act, which is damn near turning 20. We're almost there for that. We're on the doorstep of the anniversary of 9/11. That's a month from today. And in that post 9/11 world, Patriot Act, Smith Modernization Act, we've got the death of habeas corpus in the NDAA, along with the Smith Modernization Act. It's not just 2020, man. And like the fucking Democrats stole an election in 2016 in broad daylight in front of everybody, and people went, "Yeah, that sucked." And like some people got angry, and again, Jared Beck, the attorney who put forward the DNC fraud lawsuit, August 29th on the show. Sunday, that'll be on Aftermath FM at 10 o'clock on the West Coast and 1 p.m. Eastern. So pull up for that one. But I mean, it's we've got a history here. I don't know if we've ever had free and fair elections in my lifetime. I know we haven't.
Never.
In an era with voting machines that happen electronically with proprietary software that a freaking 11-year-old can hack.
Yeah, never in the history of elections has it ever been real. And
I want to make the argument, right?
Well, hang on one second before you do. Let me just hold.
I gotta go soon, JG.
Okay,
yeah, buddy.
All right, hang on one second. I just want to say, elections have always been messed up, but the guy that loses always goes away quietly and gets his bit. Okay, this is the first time that they've made it public like this and made a big deal of it, and I'm pointing it out because the reason they're doing this is they're going to use this later to be the reason why, another reason why you got to get here it is, COVID is C, certificate O of V, vaccination, certificate of vaccination ID. That's what that is. That's what the plan is. That's what it is. And this is going to be part of it, Billy. Voting and positive ID to vote is going to be part of it because the conservative people will demand it. They will demand it. Go ahead, Billy. Go ahead.
I'm going to release the Kraken.
That's my homegirl.
And good. And I got a good story to tell you right before you go. Here, come on back.
You want to tell the story?
No, I'll tell you after you're done because you're going to jump in here on the election because you wanted to say something about it because I know you got.
This is a thing. I just want to put it out there and this whole narrative of hacking machines and all that's not a thing. At least it's not a thing to the degree that it cost Donald Trump an election. These are lies. These are outright lies. Coming from one man, Donald Trump, you can trace it back to his ass. And regardless of that, the way that these elections are manipulated now are through the mind. Why do they have to go and rig machines when they can just colonize your mind via social media, Cambridge Analytica, and apps like that? Why do they have to do it? Donald Trump has always been a very capricious man, a sore loser. He said it when Ted Cruz beat him in the primaries. He's like, oh, it's the voting machines. That's why I lost. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lost. When Hillary Clinton smacked him for the popular vote, he was like, I would have won the popular vote, but it was the machines. The machines did it, and they screwed me. When Barack Obama beat Mitt Romney, no one ever thought that Mitt Romney was going to win, because it was impossible. But when Barack Obama beat him, Donald Trump was the first one to come out and say, the only reason Barack Obama won was because of these voting machines. And then so if he was so heavy on these voting machines, how come he didn't do anything about it?
He was right about that.
And nothing. He not a damn thing. He did absolutely nothing. And Barack Obama smacked Mitt Romney. It's a charisma.
Well, here,
it's a charisma contest. It's not on policy or anything else.
Let me float this balloon out there for you, man. Just for a concept. Mm-hmm. See, the thing is that the people that are supposed to be the ones that are in office at certain times are always going to be the ones that are in office at certain times. So whether or not Trump was correct or he wasn't, in the moment that he was still president, he had the ability to pull the NSA's records out of Utah, which are all sitting there, and pull that out and display it out for everybody to see. But this was never meant for that. The whole reason this whole thing happened was to create a distrust in the American people for the election system. But they're never going to let Trump destroy that election system, because it's the one that puts Merkel in power, and it's the one that puts, Trudeau in power, and it's the one that puts all these people in power. All these people.
So let me suggest this, Jimmy and gentlemen, that Donald Trump absolutely had to happen, that in order to get to Agenda 21, kick off Agenda 2030, there had to be a Donald Trump figure in order to. So look at what happened legislatively. Legislatively, Donald Trump passed the traditional Republican Party's wet dream in terms of boilerplate legislation.
Well,
he was responsible for the two largest upward redistributions of wealth in recorded human history: tax cuts for billionaires and the CARES Act. Donald Trump brought more socialism to the United States by dollars than any president ever. He printed $23 trillion since August of 2019. Jimmy pointed out that he was a vaccine salesman. Absolutely, but what that did is it deactivated the right, along with QAnon, which was the other side of the Russiagate psyop.
Yep.
The right went to fucking sleep.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what Billy's guest said today, and I thought it was really great. He said Donald Trump was the best manipulator in history because he was manipulating the people who loved him and the people that hated him. He had control over everybody, and you're right. There was more done under Trump because people were asleep than
moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He got a neighborhood in the Golan Heights named after him. Do you know how much Zionist cock you gotta take to get a neighborhood in the Golan Heights named after you?
Well,
that's Donald Trump.
Probably the same amount as you got to do to get a shekel named after you, too. Hold on a second. I got a good story here. One of Donald Trump's friends. It's Aftermath FM. Now we got the heavy hitters in the house. The Haterazzi tomorrow, live from Las Vegas. Immediately preceding Billy Ray Valentine with the Infinite Fringe, who's also here. Steve from Slow News Days here. Looks like Billy's on his way out. Hold on, Billy. Don't leave yet. I'm going to talk about Rudy Giuliani. Hold on. Well, here's a little story that I found earlier today. I thought it was interesting. I mean, I don't have it up in front of me. I can, relate it to you. But I found it interesting because it has the same kind of a tone as the thing where, hey, man, I'll meet you guys down there. I'll be right there. I'll meet you down there, and then going out the back door and never showing up and never coming back. That's what Donald Trump did when January 6th, right? He said, hey, man, I'll meet you down there, and then he left. Okay, he had Rudy Giuliani out there. Rudy Giuliani is out there with the Kraken and all this other shit. He's been out there being the mouthpiece for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will not give him his money. He won't pay Rudy his money. And check this out.
Piece of trash.
Check this out. Rudy is charging. You can go get a personal greeting from Rudy Giuliani for $199. Any alternative media people listening tonight, go ahead and get your $199 together. Go over there and buy a Rudy Giuliani personal greeting for $199. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. What do you think about that, Billy, before you go? Rudy Giuliani. I mean, here's a rat that people like literally put up there on a pedestal because he was helping the savior. What about this Giuliani?
It's cheaper than Andrew Kaufman charging $1,000 an hour. So go ahead and do it if you guys want to give away your money. Freaking Rudolph Giuliani. One of the biggest pieces of trash on the history of the planet. A judge refuses to toss out Dominion defamation suits against Powell, Giuliani, and Lindell. And I hope they get taken for every freaking penny. Every penny for the division that they caused in this country, willingly, knowingly putting out and endorsing lies, outright lies. They knew it. They knew there were lies. They had no proof of anything. And they continued pushing for what reason, I don't know. Rudolph Giuliani is a piece of trash, man. Stop and frisk. I was stopped and frisked out here I don't know how many times when this piece of filth was the mayor of New York. And these are the pieces of filth that come to power. Look at Andrew Cuomo. He's a complete and total piece of crap, and he was the governor here. And he would have been the president of the United States if he if things fell right for him. He would have ended up taking that seat at some point. That's the way they were angling him. But he's a piece of trash and he can't help himself. Rudolph Giuliani is worthless, man. I mean, I don't know what the hell he was thinking.
Well, isn't it just like doesn't it show how we've been corrupted? I mean, we used to seek a person of quality, an honest person, and that was the person. If that person didn't exist, then we went away and we kept looking. But now what we do is we take a person, and just because they're the one that we get, we got to ignore all the shit that they did that's totally heinous, and then put them up on some pedestal and go, look at them now. Look at
They thought Bill Barr was going to save him, Jimmy. They thought Bill Barr was going to save him. Bill Barr, the cover-up king, the guy who tried to get the church committee shut down, the guy who ran point on Iran-Contra, the guy who was attorney general under George H.W. Bush, that guy.
Did you know?
Much love to Billy Ray Valentine.
Much love, Billy. Did you know if there's not a 50% participation in an election, it's not valid? That you literally, I mean, I know a person by the name of L.B. Bork who can show you how literally voting is illegal. Literally. And so Billy's got to go. Billy, thanks for joining us, man. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to vote the lesser of two evils. If there wasn't a candidate that you didn't like, you can literally not vote. And if there wasn't a 50% participation, that election is not valid. Go ahead. What do you guys think about that?
Well, look, first of all, peace out, Billy. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. I mean, have we ever come close to 50? You're talking about 50% of like the population?
Yeah, less than 50% of the population.
Yeah,
Who can vote? Who's at voting age? You know what I mean? You can vote.
Yeah, that would never happen.
Yeah, see, it's just like a national strike can never happen, or people saying, you know what, $5 gas is too much. We ain't buying gas for 2 weeks.
Right. It would be beautiful if everybody, even if you're vaccinated, to stand up against these vax passports, because once they put them out there, they're never going away. This isn't something temporary.
I do see some of that. I don't think I see enough of it out loud.
Right.
But I know that support exists. People are terrified, and they have no reason to be. None whatsoever. 99.7% survival rate.
Right.
If you get it, you know, I mean, the 78-80% of the people who died from it, medically obese with multiple comorbidities, it's 70 years or older, 72 or older.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, there's been a lot of
U.S. over the last 10 years. They've gone up around a couple, like a few thousand every year. Last year was a normal year like that.
The thing is, though, there's been a bunch of people that have passed away around this now and right now. And I mean, my co-host right now is going to Texas because his whole family in Texas has this, and his mom is, had a pretty, rough time. But so the thing is there's testimony from live people that have actually had experiences with this, and it's what contributes. Yeah. It's what contributes to the mass hysteria and the mass psychosis that's caused by the fear.
And it's also, you make a good point, and it's also why we have to be supportive of each other as civilians, even those that are getting the shot. Like this whole thing where we're letting it tear families apart, and we're telling people that they're stupid on both sides. And when and this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow evening, like nobody's stopping to say, hey, wait a minute. It's almost unanimously agreed that this virus is man-made. Why are we fighting each other over something that none of us have any control over? Right? When we start looking for somebody to be held accountable for this shit, whether it was released on purpose or accident, somebody needs to be held accountable, right? And so, we really need to support choice, right? AIDS has been around forever, right? AIDS kills people. I mean, now with the new medicine and stuff, I guess you can live with HIV, but there's nobody telling adults that they have to wear a condom. We kind of trust adults to make that decision for themselves and take the risk if that's what they want to do. This shouldn't be that much different, but we got to be supportive of each other as civilians, on whichever side, whether you got the shot or you didn't. Some people have died. A lot of people don't know this. I just lost my mother 2 weeks ago, right? This is my mother, right? And I've kept that under wraps. She died of complications from diabetes, but she was diagnosed with COVID. Now, I got my conspiratorial views on them doing that because she didn't go in there for that. She didn't go to the hospital with anything COVID. They just said she had it when she got there, after she'd been there for a few days, and she ended up dying of ketoacidosis, which was her blood became acidic because her kidneys failed due to diabetic shock. And so I think we should be very careful when we're talking about this to not demonize each other on whichever side you're on, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, whether you believe in it or not. The bottom line is we were all thrown into this situation through no fault of our own, right? And the people who most likely are behind it are the same people that are now telling us what we need to do, you know, for their mistake or their malice.
Yeah, no, I certainly don't think I don't think telling anyone they're stupid is going to help anything, let alone get someone to be like, "Oh, you have a good point there." That's not how that works. And when it comes to family, I mean, this is going to bring out something this divisive, and it's always like this. Something this divisive is always going to bring out the best or worst in your family, you know, sometimes at the same time. And yeah, all you can do is navigate that with as much love as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And you also have to be willing to understand that, like, it's sometimes that's not going to get reciprocated. You're going to have to take a little bit of space from each other.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Go ahead.
It's like that. It's like the argument. No, I want you to get in here, but it's like the argument about when people are saying stuff that you don't like. That's the moment when you really gotta protect the freedom of speech. And I think I think systematically our freedoms are being taken away, and it's being made. Our lives and our footprint is being made smaller and smaller and smaller. In order for me to be free, I can't do any of the things I used to do. But I'm free. I didn't take the injectable, but I get to sit in my house and stare at the wall while everybody else goes and lives their lives. You know, and I just find that to be extremely distasteful. It's midnight, ladies and gentlemen. I have a really good video here that really puts a lot of what we're talking about into perspective. And if you guys don't mind, I'd definitely like to run that. What do you guys think? You guys want to grab something to drink and a little cup of coffee, and I'll run this clip?
Oh, right, get on what you get on.
Right on. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a school board meeting. I played this the other night when it was fresh. When it just came out. It's been running around the block. I don't even know if the video exists anymore on the internet, but I took the liberty of recording it the other night, and then I added a little sound effect also. So let's take a listen to this. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. Mr. Gates tomorrow live from Vegas at 5 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. And then, Steve, you're on Sunday at 11 a.m.? Right after Wake and Bake with Jimmy and Rio. What time are you on, 11 a.m. on Sunday, Steve? Oh, he might have already taken his break. Here we go. Let's do this. Ready?
Right on.
Let's dispel some of the rumors. This is Aftermath FM. Mom's Jimmy, it's in the microcosm.
I'm outside the hottest place in town, and what we'd like to do now is take you for an exclusive look inside. You're not getting in, pal. I'm actually willing to go inside and get a shot so that everyone can see just how safe it is.
I said get lost. You're not getting in. Get out of my face.
Please give me a shot. Please, all I want is a shot. Just that one shot that could change everything. Everyone clear out of the way. Clear the entrance. We have VIPs coming out. We're to next, everybody. That was our second shot. Let's go to the bar. All people suck. Can't hear you. Got too many antibodies in my ears.
Dr. Dan Stock, 5777 West 700 North McCordsville, Indiana. To address your comment, gee, it's hard to believe we're 18 months into this and still having a problem, and I would suggest the reason we still have a problem is because we're doing things that are not useful, and we're getting our sources of information from the Indiana State Board of Health and the CDC, who actually don't bother to read science before they do this. I'm actually a functional family medicine physician. That means I am specially trained in immunology and inflammation regulation. And everything being recommended by the CDC and the State Board of Health is actually contrary to all the rules of science. So things you should know about coronavirus and all other respiratory viruses, they are spread by aerosol particles, which are small enough to go through every mask. By the way, the literature that supports all of that is in a flash drive that we presented to you. It's been given to the Secretary. As a matter of fact, it quotes at least 3 studies sponsored by the NIH to that exact fact, even though the CDC and the NIH have chosen to ignore the very science that they paid to have done. That is why you keep struggling with this, is because you cannot make these viruses go away. The natural history of all respiratory viruses is that they circulate all year long, waiting for the immune system to get sick through the winter or become deranged, as has happened recently with these vaccines, and then they cause symptomatic disease. Because they cannot be filtered out, and they have animal reservoirs, and this is a very important point, no one can make this virus go away. The CDC has managed to convince everybody that we can handle this like we did smallpox, where we could make a virus go away. Smallpox had no animal reservoirs. The only thing it learned to infect was humans. That's why we were able to make that virus go away. That will not happen with this any more than it will with influenza, the common cold, respiratory syncytial virus, adenoviral respiratory syndromes, or anything else that has animal reservoirs. So the reason you can't do this is because you're trying to do something which has already been tried and can't be done. Equally important is that vaccination changes none of this, especially with this vaccine. And I would hope this board would start asking itself, before it considers taking the advice of the CDC, the NIH, and the State Board of Health, why we are doing things about this that we didn't do for the common cold, influenza, or respiratory syncytial virus. And then ask yourself, why is a vaccine that is supposedly so effective having a breakout in the middle of the summer when respiratory viral syndromes don't do that? And to help you understand that, you need to know the condition that is called antibody-mediated viral enhancement. That is a condition done when vaccines work wrong, as they did in every coronavirus study done in animals on coronaviruses after the SARS outbreak, and done in respiratory syncytial virus, where a vaccine used in a vulnerable individual done the wrong way, which cannot be done right for a respiratory virus which has a very low pathogenicity rate, causes the immune system to actually fight the virus wrong and let the virus become worse than it would with native infection. And that is why you are seeing an outbreak right now. In fact, in that flash drive you're going to have coming to you and in the emails with 6 extra will be a study showing that 75% of people who had COVID-19 positive symptom cases in Barnstable, Massachusetts outbreak were fully vaccinated. Therefore, there is no reason for treating any person vaccinated any differently than any person unvaccinated. You should also know that no vaccine, even the ones I support and would give to myself and my children, ever stops infection. In 2014, there was outbreak of mumps in the National Hockey League. The only people who came down the symptoms were the people who were unvaccinated or unknown vaccine status. Boy, that sounds like a great argument for vaccines. But a question that you should ask yourself, knowing that half of the people who came down with symptomatic disease had no contact with an unvaccinated or unknown vaccine status individual, where did they get the disease? And the answer was from the vaccinated individual. No vaccine prevents you from getting infection. You get infected, you shed pathogen. This is especially true of viral respiratory pathogens. You just don't get symptomatic from it. So you cannot stop spread. You cannot make these numbers that you've planned on get better by doing any of the things you're doing, because that is the nature of viral respiratory pathogens. And you can't prevent it with a vaccine because they don't do the very thing you're wanting them to do. And you will be chasing this the remainder of your life until you recognize that the Center for Disease Control and the Indiana State Board of Health are giving you very bad scientific guidance. And instead, read the audience here tonight who actually have recognized the advice they are getting from the CDC and the NIH is counterfactual. And that's why you're still fighting this with this vaccine that supposedly was going to make all of this go away, but has suddenly managed to make an outbreak of COVID-19 develop in the middle of the summer when vitamin D levels are at their highest. By the way, the other thing that would be necessary any vaccine restriction to be considered is if there were no other treatment available. And I can tell you, having treated over 15 COVID-19 patients, that between active loading with vitamin D, ivermectin, and zinc, that there is not a single person who has come anywhere near the hospital. And we already have studies that show that if you achieve a 25 hydroxyvitamin D level greater than 55, your risk of COVID-19 death will drop down to 1/4 of the population average for the United States. And there are active treatment trials included on that flash drive that show the same is true. So if you were going to discriminate based upon vaccine, you should also discriminate based upon 25 hydroxyvitamin D level, zinc taste test response, and probably previous infection, since there are also studies on that flash drive that show that people who have recovered from COVID-19 infection actually get no benefit from vaccination at all, no reduction in symptoms, no reduction in hospitalization, and suffer 2 to 4 times the rate of side effects if they are subsequently vaccinated. Therefore, the policies that you are basing on are totally counterfactual. I don't blame this board for that because I know you aren't scientists and you've thought it was reasonable to listen to the CDC, NIH, and the Indiana State Board of Health. But I would encourage that instead you listen to the people out here in this audience and read what's on that data drive. And if anybody here in this board has any questions about anything on that, I will happily come back and sit with you individually if you would like to explain the science behind this. And if you're worried about being sued by somebody because you don't follow the guidance of the CDC and the NIH, I will tell you have a free pro bono expert testimony at your disposal. I will testify in defense of this board, turning down all these recommendations for free at any time.
Am I still here? I'm definitely getting hacked right now, man. Right now, right as we speak, my mouse no longer works. So when I put my pointer over something, I can't click on anything. Menus are popping up. So it's interesting. My name's Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm. It's Aftermath FM, and I'm having some issues that I don't think I'm going to be able to solve this, man. Seriously, I would have to probably reboot my computer, which means we'd have to go off the air. So I'm not going to do that, but that'll just mean I can't really play anything on YouTube or anything anymore. The only thing I can click on is my own stuff on my desktop. So, and I happen to have this right here, so let me click on this thing and see if it works. You see what happened? Yeah, I'm totally under attack right now. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, there it is. Apparently that's not a happy. I don't know, man. I don't know. Honestly, I don't have a reason for what's going on, but there it is.
Yeah, I posted that video about 2 days ago on Facebook, and it got flagged immediately.
Yeah, they don't like that video. And I'm telling you, man, I cannot control my mouse. So right now I cannot play a video because when I go to the play button, let me see. When I go to the play button, there's menus popping up, you know, that you would normally right click and there would be a menu, drop down menu. Well, I'm not clicking anything and I'm pointing. Yeah, this is this is like a simplistic hack. I mean, this is old. This is like back in the day kind of shit. It's nothing. Right. It's nothing serious, but it's interesting now. Oh, there we go. There we go. But see, now I can't mute the commercial, because I can't get over it. I'll just talk over it, buddy. That's right. All right, check this out. I'm making it work, but it's really not working. I'm making it work though. Here we go. I'm making it work. F you.
Raise up and stand among the strong and brave that walk the earth. Raise up, unite within this movement today. Raise and stand high above the ruins of Babylon. Raise up, for in these times you got to know where you stand. In every time they try to tell us they're believing in peace till they go to war. So don't get lost in the battles when you know the truth gonna be your best friend. Yeah. Sooner or later, the time must arrive. Open your heart now and open your mind.
It's Aftermath FM, plowing through the hack.
The fire, the brighter of flame.
Don't worry, man. I'll check my log. We'll take a look and see where it came from. San Diego is where it usually comes from. Naval intelligence.
Raise up, get up, rise up, right away. Raise up, get up, rise up, right away. Raise up, get up, rise up, right away. Raise up, get up, rise up now.
Try to shake, wake you, but they say they'd rather you sleep. Don't be
Raise up because you love the truth and understand His word. Raise up no matter what the
It's Aftermath FM. I'm sitting here with Mr. Gates, Steve Coynan. Slow news day. This is Dub Conscious, Babylon Control.
at the end it go. I was searching everywhere for food, but there was none. Bodies lying burned in the midday sun. Nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. I went to the city, but the city was gone. Radiated with hatred and destroyed by a bomb. We all $1 billion of the nuclear door, but there is no song. All has gone wrong. And when I awoke, I could clearly see the seeds of this vision Jah had given me. Planted deep within his aristocracies, hypocrisy and power and greed. So wake up to the fact that they're controlling you. Whether or not you're doing what you want to do, the system that we're living in is doomed. Jah knows it's true, and I know it's true, and I'm just telling you this because I love you, brethren. True and true, I'm untrue until the very end. The city, the kid, the strong and the poison, and the prison that I dreamed about. Dying for nothing. It's Babylon control. It's only what mind control. They take it to you to show you the proof. Come and see the truth is written on.
There it is, Babylon Control, Dub Conscious, this conscious reggae on Aftermath FM. The party after the after party, the underground, the alternative to the alternative. Tune in, turn on, and find out Monday through Friday right here at 10:30 Pacific. Immediately following Clyde Lewis and the Ground Zero crew. The OG Ron Ken OG over there too. Alright, you guys, looks like I got myself back under control here. Listen to this here.
Engineered by hateful enemies.
Here.
All of this
Listen to this.
engineered by hateful enemies.
Here.
And in my vision I saw incurable disease, genetically engineered by hateful enemies. All of this in the name of power and money. How could this be the future for we? The green might be forest of the Amazon.
So, Dub Conscious spitting it out there about some genetically engineered by hateful enemies. You know, I mean, this has been on the table for a long time, I guess, and so I guess the rubber has met the road, and you know, luckily for us, we're still here. But some people, you know what I mean? Some people didn't make it and may not make it. I mean, I can't tell you, I mean, just because of the show, and, you know, I know people from all over the world, and I'm just, you know, so sad and sorry about so many of my friends have had people, you know, have lost people as a result of all this, you know, and so instead of being in a time where we're, you know, healing each other and reaching out to each other and, you know, trying to incorporate some sort of sense of, you know, sanity in this whole mess. And, you know, it's not a pandemic. I mean, it's you know, it's almost like it's like we've been gotten high off the gas or something, and it's just like we can't wake up. You know, it's like
it's a pandemic of the vaccinated in Iceland. You seen the information coming out of there?
No, please tell us about it.
Oh, they're like reporting record number of Delta variant cases, and they were the country that was like the first to 100% vaccination, and all proud of it. Another one of the countries that was like, we're better than everyone for how many people we've vaccinated. Israel, they've got a massive number of people who have got the COVID again, post Jabberoonie, and it's just we have other treatments available. We do, and we all know. You know, I'm sure we all know what most of them are. You get in trouble for saying one of them on the YouTubes. At least, if not a couple of them. But I think you can still say vitamin D.
Well, let me just say here.
But wait, just let me get to
Go ahead.
The fact that emergency use authorization was granted to anything in the first place when all of the medical profession knew that these other treatments existed, that you could use the ivermectin as a prophylaxis, that you could use vitamin D. I think you can say vitamin D if you're putting it in like a dirty frame. But anyway, vitamin C, there are things that you could do. Maybe eat right, maybe exercise a little bit. But what did they do? They closed all the gyms, and then they told you couldn't go outside and jog.
Well, let me say this, okay? Here's what I want to bring to the table right now. Listen, I'm not playing games. I talked about this over a year ago. I'm going to talk about it again because people still don't know about this. This is sitting here. Nobody knows about it. Draco, double-stranded RNA activated, is a group of experimental antiviral drugs formerly under development in Massachusetts Institute of Technology. In cell culture, Draco was purported to have broad-spectrum efficacy against many infectious viruses, including dengue, flavivirus, arenavirus, bunnia virus, H1N1 influenza, and rhinovirus. And this was additionally found effective against influenza in vivo and weanling mice. It was also reported to induce rapid rapid apoptosis selectively in virus-infected mammalian cells. So basically, you get this. This costs $60,000. Now, since I was originally reading this, the text in this description has changed, and just a little bit. But the point is that you can, if you don't like the cut of my jib on this Draco stuff, you can go type in South Korea antiviral, and they also have drugs that are super effective to almost everything that we've known in the modern world as some of these viruses, like we're used to catching the flu, this type of thing. So the real question is that it's clear that COVID means certificate of vaccination ID, and it seems to me that the global warming and the pandemic and the election fraud, all of these things are one big soup. That when the stock market eventually crashes and we all come screaming back out of it, and we get the new digital currency, that you're going to need to have all of these bases covered in the new world, and I think that's where we are. Jump in on that, you guys. What do you think about that?
It sounds right to me, man. With this whole great reset, there's like a quickening happening, right? It's almost as if they are in a race against the clock for something, right? They're trying to get all their ducks in a row for some coming event. As Clyde talked about earlier, people are, everywhere talking about how the military in every major nation is gearing up for something, or appears to be doing so. I live not far from Nellis Air Force Base here in Vegas, and been doing a lot of drills lately, so yeah, it seems like what you're saying makes sense, and it's a scary time to be alive, ain't it?
Well, the Predator class likes their anniversaries. They like occasions of significance. Again, I mean, we're just shy of a month away from a very auspicious anniversary. Richard Gage from Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth will be on Slow News Day the Sunday prior, September 6th. And that'll be on Aftermath FM as well. But I mean, so there's chatter about that, right? And we've been told about a cyber pandemic, and we've been told that through Event 201, going back to Lockstep and even into Dark Winter, there'd be a period where the internet would be shut down. People should really be like ready for that. Like, you have a contact list, right? You have a way to get a hold of people that doesn't run on the internet, right?
Right.
Everyone listening, right? You got like a spot where you're all going to go meet. You know whose house that is? Do you know this is stuff that you need to think about. Like, if you live in an area where something like a bug out bag is something you would have anyway, because like me, wildfires and shit, so where like your important paperwork and stuff like easily accessible, that should be there too.
Right.
Hey, let me ask you this now: are you moving out of Santa Cruz because you're moving up there because you figure the time has come for you to bone out? I mean, are you boning out?
So, I wanted to move up there when we evacuated for the wildfires last year, because that's where. So it went to some hotel in Cupertino, woke up. It was like a toxic smoke. Kids couldn't breathe. And a friend of mine had just closed on a decent amount of land in southern Humboldt, and it had clear air. So that's where we went. We were up there for a week and a half or so, and then had to go back down closer to Santa Cruz. Wound up at Asilomar right on Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach was literally next door. And that was weird. I saw a guy surfing, and he had a mask on. I'm not kidding. Dude had a mask on. Surfing.
So it wasn't a mask.
You want to get the shark sick.
Well, yeah, you know.
He wasn't covering his eyes. He was covering his mouth.
Covering his mouth.
That is awful, man. That's about the worst I've ever heard.
Oh, he deserves a gold medal in the virtue signaling Olympics. He does. He does. Earning it.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are making decisions for themselves, and I mean, to the point where now the FBI is arresting people. I saw a thing where a guy got arrested for a documentary that he made, where the word patriot or the word truther in any of your titles for anything is going to get you extra scrutiny by the algorithm. And those words. Go ahead.
What do we put? Do we put like hooray for globalism? Do we put lizard people are people too? Do I identify as the World Economic Forum's bitch? Like, how do like rework that algorithm? But Cuomo didn't do it.
Right. Well, it's crazy, and I know a lot of the listeners probably have a copy somewhere in the house. Behold the Pale Horse. He called it all. Bill Cooper. He said that when they came, they were coming for the Patriots specifically. And here we are, and I think this is a time where Americans got to stick together. You got to understand that this passport that's coming, this is probably step 4 in the scheme of things. But this passport is, you're giving up your freedoms that you're never going to get back. You're never going to get back. And if everybody stands up and says, no, we're not doing it, they will have to roll it back. Because even with the use of force, unless they're planning on wiping everybody out, Rand Paul made a point. They can't arrest all of us, And so I just had unexpected company show up, so I have to get off of here. But Jimmy, I want to thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And Steve, it was really good to be on here with you. Shout out to Billy. Join me tomorrow right here on Aftermath.fm, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for Haterazzi live from Las Vegas. And thank you again, man.
No, we really appreciate you being here, Mr. Gates. Thank you. And,
thank you.
And, ladies and gentlemen, the thing is when we become okay, when we've been, inflamed over some kind of a them, there's a them that becomes our enemy, and we collectively agree that there's a them, and then we agree it's okay to do certain things to them. And the thing is we're at a place now where everybody agreed it was okay to do certain things to the enemies, to fight them over there, so we didn't have to fight them over here. What they didn't realize is, when you give permission to do that to somebody else, you should be, when you're given permission, you should be thinking, would I want someone to do that to me or to my family? And so when we were okay with people getting tie-wrapped and black-bagged and dragged off to inner prisons that no one knows where they are because there are certain religious, affiliations, now it's going to be okay because they're going to turn that apparatus that we paid all for, everybody paid with their taxes, they're turning the apparatus back around on us. And now they're turning it around because because of a certain idea that may be had by certain people. They're turning the apparatus on those people, and those people happen to be the same people that enjoy their firearms. So I mean, are they not putting us in a box, Mr. Gates? Before you go, are they pushing us to a place where the American people just won't have any other choice to either fight or acquiesce, just fight or give up, one or the other?
Now it looks like that's what they're doubling down constantly, on their threats, on their coercion, and and yeah, they're gonna back enough people into into a position where, because they're coming for those guns. Believe that, right? Oh, you don't have a passport, you can't have guns. Oh, you can't drive a car, you can't do. Like, people have no idea what we're being set up for, you know. And so,
Did you see Bill Gates snicker when they brought up the fact that maybe you shouldn't get your Social Security or your food stamps or your general assistance or your unemployment? You don't get any of that now. You can go ahead and be free and sit in your house and watch movies on the internet all you want, but you're not going to get any money. You're not going to get any food stamps. You're not going to get anything anymore.
Right.
So what about that? What about that, man? You know what I mean?
well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead. You're getting out of here. You go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's where they're going to get the majority of people. They're already starting with people's jobs, their very livelihoods. And I saw Kristan sent me the video he filmed in Wisconsin, where there were thousands of healthcare workers who were protesting this. You know, I mean, last year when this all started, you had the healthcare workers on the front line, right? Nobody knew what we were dealing with. Everyone was afraid, but these brave people worked around the clock to heal people. And now, a year later, you're threatening their jobs if they don't do, you know. So, yeah, they're looking at a revolution. I'm telling you, it's getting ugly here in Vegas. I was at a county commission meeting last week, and man, the people there were just, they were hitting them with facts. People don't want this. Right. And I think there's a lot of people who are just afraid to speak out who don't want this, vaccinated and otherwise, So anyways, guys, I got to take off. But thank you again for having me, Jimmy.
Hey, thanks for being here, bro.
Right on.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, take care, man. There he goes.
Peace.
There he goes, the Haterazzi. He'll be live from Vegas tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific, right here on in Aftermath FM. And Billy Ray will be on after him, and then Clyde comes on. So, so what do you think about that, Steve? Jump in on that now, man, because, listen, and it goes beyond just what I was mentioning there with the Muslims. But it goes back to when, World War II, the Japanese. It goes back to slavery. It goes back to all these things that some collective majority has gotten together and pointed a finger at them and made it okay for us to do it to them, to American Indians. Same thing.
Well,
they said we're all on the reservation. We're all on the slave plantation. Go ahead.
Let's talk about you said and made it okay to. Let's talk about the making it okay to and what that means. Because that means dehumanization. That means getting the population to begin to not just look at that group as a them, but to remove their humanity. They are monsters. They are subhuman. They are murderers. They are terrorists. They are domestic terrorists. They are this, they are that. We've hit it in this episode, probably 40% of the NSA keywords. We did this on Anonymous Bites Back the other week where we just read off the list. The entire list. We just read it off. That's...
The thing is we have to. Don't you think? I mean, we'll go a little bit. We'll go a little bit off the beaten path here for a second, because I mean, I think that that the time for revolution is past, and the time for evolution is now. So this is where humanity has to evolve and not revolve. And so the thing is that as a people on the planet, we got to get together and figure out a way where nothing gets done to anybody that we don't like. So if somebody does something wrong, they're going to go to prison and do their time in a humane way, and you know, whatever. And we've decided collectively that we don't like certain things. We think they're against the law. But I mean, for the most part, you know, natural law is what it is, and the golden rule is what it is. And out of all the religions all across the world, the one thing they all have in common is the golden rule. So the thing is, we can't put a person on a reservation, and we can't make a person a slave, and we can't pass laws to make that okay, because it's for them, and you're not part of that group, so you're good over here in the majority. See, that's where we are right now. Same thing. The majority of people are wearing masks, surfing. Okay, the majority of people are riding their mountain bikes with masks on. Okay, this type of thing. Majority of people decided they wanted to do something with their body, and they made that decision because they needed to keep their job, and they're pissed off, Steve. If you don't want to do it, you're making it, you're causing problems for them. You might get them sick or make their grandma die. You're a murderer. You're a manslaughterer. You're one of those dirty rats. I think some dude was calling people rats who weren't doing the injectable. So I mean, it's a tough situation, Steve. Here. Into the microcosm. Aftermath FM.
My body, in my mind and soul, you're where the music goes. My heart it goes to all up in my mental, and I just can't let go of this feeling that the music and the sound can do to you. Only one thing on earth to ease your mind, and without it your life you're about to go blind. No music is pain, I swear I'll never be the same. Yeah, if they try to take it away from my love. I don't know what to do.
members of the faculty, family, and friends, and most importantly, the class of 2014. It is indeed an honor for me to be here tonight. It's been almost 37 years to the day that I graduated from UT. I remember a lot of things about that day. I remember I had a throbbing headache from a party the night before. I remember I had a serious girlfriend who I later married. That's important to remember, by the way. And I remember I was getting commissioned in the Navy that day. But of all the things I remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was, and I certainly don't remember anything they said. So acknowledging that fact, if I can't make this commencement speech memorable, I will at least try to make it short. So the university's slogan is, what starts here changes the world. Well, I've got to admit, I kind of like it. What starts here changes the world. Tonight there are almost 8,000 students, or there are more than 8,000 students graduated from UT. So that great paragon of analytical rigor, Ask.com, says that the average American will meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. 10,000 people, that's a lot of folks. But if every one of you changed the lives of just 10 people, and each one of those people changed the lives of another 10 people, and another 10, then in 5 generations, 125 years, the class of 2014 will have changed the lives of 800 million people. 800 million people. Think about it. Over twice the population of the United States. Go one more generation, and you can change the entire population of the world. 8 billion people. If you think it's hard to change the lives of 10 people, change their lives forever, you're wrong. I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. A young Army officer makes a decision to go left instead of right down a road in Baghdad, and the 10 soldiers with him are saved from a close-in ambush. In Kandahar province, Afghanistan, a non-commissioned officer from the female engagement team senses that something isn't right and directs the infantry platoon away from a 500-pound IED, saving the lives of a dozen soldiers. But if you think about it, not only were those soldiers saved by the decisions of one person, but their children were saved, and their children's children. Generations were saved by one decision, one person. But changing the world can happen anywhere, and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world. But the question is, what will the world look like after you change it? Well, I'm confident that it will look much, much better. But if you'll humor this old sailor for just a moment, I have a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world. And while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. I've been a Navy SEAL for 36 years, but it all began when I left UT for basic SEAL training in Coronado, California. Basic SEAL training is 6 months of long, torturous runs in the soft sand, midnight swims in the cold water off San Diego, obstacle courses, unending calisthenics, days without sleep, and always being cold, wet, and miserable. It is 6 months of being constantly harassed by professionally trained warriors who seek to find the weak of mind and body and eliminate them from ever becoming a Navy SEAL. But the training also seeks to find those students who can lead in an environment of constant stress, chaos, failure, and hardships. To me, basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. Several times a week, the instructors would line up the class and do a uniform inspection. It was exceptionally thorough. Your hat had to be perfectly starched, your uniform immaculately pressed, your belt buckle shiny and void of any smudges. But it seemed that no matter how much effort you put into starching your hat or pressing your uniform or polishing your belt buckle, it just wasn't good enough. The instructors would find something wrong. For failing the uniform inspection, the student had to run, fully clothed, into the surf zone, then wet from head to toe, roll around on the beach until every part of your body was covered with sand. The effect was known as a sugar cookie. You stayed in the uniform the rest of the day, cold, wet, and sandy. There were many a student who just couldn't accept the fact that all their efforts were in vain, that no matter how hard they tried to get the uniform right, it went unappreciated. Those students didn't make it through training. Those students didn't understand the purpose of the drill. You were never going to succeed. You were never going to have a perfect uniform. The instructors weren't going to allow it. Sometimes, no matter how well you prepare or how well you perform, you still end up as a sugar cookie. It's just the way life is sometimes. If you want to change the world, get over being a sugar cookie and keep moving forward. Every day during training, you were challenged with multiple physical events, long runs, long swims, obstacle courses, hours of calisthenics, something designed to test your mettle. Every event had standards, times you had to meet. If you failed to meet those times, those standards, your name was posted on a list, and at the end of the day, those on the list were invited to a circus. A circus was 2 hours of additional calisthenics designed to wear you down, to break your spirit, to force you to quit. No one wanted a circus. A circus meant that for that day, you didn't measure up. A circus meant more fatigue, and more fatigue meant that the following day would be more difficult, and more circuses were likely. But at some time during SEAL training, everyone made the circus list. But an interesting thing happened to those who were constantly on the list. Over time, those students who did 2 hours of extra calisthenics got stronger and stronger. The pain of the circuses built inner strength and physical resiliency. Life is filled with circuses. You will fail. You will likely fail often. It will be painful. It will be discouraging. At times, it will test you to your very core. But if you want to change the world, don't be afraid of the circuses. At least twice a week, the trainees were required to run the obstacle course. The obstacle course contained 25 obstacles, including a 10-foot wall, a 30-foot cargo net, a barbed wire crawl, to name a few. But the most challenging obstacle was the slide for life. It had a 3-level, 30-foot tower at one end and a 1-level tower at the other. In between was a 200-foot-long rope. You had to climb the 3-tiered tower, and once at the top, you grabbed the rope, swung underneath the rope, and pulled yourself hand over hand until you got to the other end. The record for the obstacle course had stood for years when my class began in 1977. The record seemed unbeatable until one day a student decided to go down the slide for life head first. Instead of swinging his body underneath the rope and inching his way down, he bravely mounted the top of the rope and thrust himself forward. It was a dangerous move, seemingly foolish and fraught with risk. Failure could mean injury and being dropped from the course. Without hesitation, the student slid down the rope perilously fast. Instead of several minutes, it only took him half that time. And by the end of the course, he had broken the record. If you want to change the world, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacles head first. During the land warfare phase of training, the students are flown out to San Clemente Island, which lies off the coast of San Diego. The waters off San Clemente are a breeding ground for the great white sharks. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. As Navy SEALs, one of our jobs is to conduct underwater attacks against enemy shipping. We practice this technique extensively during training. The ship attack mission is where a pair of SEAL divers is dropped off outside an enemy harbor and then swims well over 2 miles underwater using nothing but a depth gauge and a compass to get to the target. During the entire swim, even well below the surface, there is some light that comes through. It is comforting to know that there is open water above you. But as you approach the ship, which is tied to a pier, the light begins to fade. The steel structure of the ship blocks the moonlight. It blocks the surrounding street lamps. It blocks all ambient light. To be successful in your mission, you have to swim under the ship and find the keel, the center line, and the deepest part of the ship. This is your objective. But the keel is also the darkest part of the ship, where you cannot see your hand in front of your face, where the noise from the ship's machinery is deafening, and where it gets to be easily disoriented, and you can fail. Every SEAL knows that under the keel, at that darkest moment of the mission, is a time when you need to be calm, when you must be calm, when you must be composed, when all your tactical skills, your physical power, and your inner strength must be brought to bear. If you want to change the world, you must be your very best in the darkest moments.
Don't give up. Go out and get it. Mine's Jimmy. Send the microcosm.